Greetings, true believers, and welcome to another Trade Talk. This week, I actually pulled what I consider to be the gem of my collection out to talk to you guys about it, and I did this because I've got some bad news. Our regularly scheduled Dan Dashley Discusses, our YouTube reviews, are actually going to have to be down for a little bit. I'm having some computer issues, you know how it all goes. But that's really not the purpose of what we're here to do. I'm here to talk to you guys about what I consider to be the best hardcover that Marvel has produced as a company, and to be perfectly frank, I consider this to be the best comic that Marvel has produced as a company, period. We're talking about X-Statix, and specifically the X-Statix Omnibus, written by Peter Milligan, drawn by Michael Allred, and of course, colors done by the ever-talented Laura Allred. I just want to jump right into it. First and foremost, this is actually the biggest omnibus that Marvel provides. I think it clocks in, or weighs in somewhere at about 1,200 pages. So it's a lot of comics. It follows the X-Statix run, while Milligan and Allred had it, and the 26-issue run of X-Statix as its own series that happened after that. So it's a lot of comics that you're getting. I think it ends up total being around 40 issues, which, I mean, when you price it out, this trade costs about $125 if you buy it straight from Marvel. But my advice to you, and this is secret advice for anyone who's paying attention, there are third-party users on Amazon that are selling this for incredibly cheap, somewhere around $70 to $80 for an almost new copy. Granted, that doesn't really go to help Marvel, doesn't go to help Peter Milligan or Michael Allred. And, you know, some people feel a little bit bad about that. But if you're looking for comic to money ratio, there's no deals better than buying this wonderful, wonderful hunk of book at $80. I'm just going to give you a view just of the absolute thickness of this book. It's incredible how much comic they managed to stick in this one omnibus. It's not, the biggest comic out there in terms of just sheer size, but let me tell you, true believers, it is up there. And for those of you unfamiliar, X-Statix is actually a group of mutants who are pop culture celebrities in the Marvel Universe and are essentially take the heroes for hire idea, but sort of go the next level with it. These guys are on TV, they've got movie deals, recording deals. They're the biggest celebrities in the Marvel Universe at the time of their book. Unfortunately, though, that means that they have to constantly be fighting villains to stay relevant, and their lifespan is exceedingly short. And they know it, and in fact, the comic itself jokes about that all the time. It's just part of who they are, part of what makes what they used to be X-Force. It's part of what makes X-Force or X-Statix later on. They just accept it. They roll with the punches. This dysfunctional team manages to stay together, usually just for the money and because of some mutual camaraderie. And in fact, this particular run goes through a lot of different characters, as I'm sure that you could assume, just, going off the fact that they die a lot. But some of our primary characters, actually these are what I would consider to be the three biggest characters here, is the anarchist, You-Go Girl, and then that leaves Guy Smith, aka the Orphan, or Mr. Sensitive. As mutants, they have variety of powers, such as the anarchist's sort of acidic sweat that he can shoot as laser beams, You-Go Girl's teleporting powers, or the Orphan / Mr. Sensitive's hyper-aware senses that he has to constantly wear his little special suit there in order to not just be in constant pain from just living. This is a book that's really out there. If you're not familiar with Peter Milligan, especially Peter Milligan in his prime back in the day, and this was actually early 2000s, so we're not talking, Rogan Gauche Peter Milligan. But Peter Milligan has always been an author who appreciates really out there concepts and ideas. And that's what makes Michael Allred the perfect companion in terms of art, because he loves to draw things like this. It's his bread and butter. Michael Allred excels at drawing weird creatures and just odd-shaped monstrosities, such as Dupe in the background there. Dupe actually went on to be incredibly famous, at least in terms of this crew's relevancy in comics. He got an actual comic of his own with all-new branch of Marvel. He got 5 issues of all-new Dupe, in which part of this crew actually came back. But We followed this team's adventures all throughout their career, from when we had an all-new team, from when the old team just dies in the first issue, to a switch in leadership, to just a switch in names, and just the way that they go about doing what they do. It's important to note that X-Statix is a book that's going to poke a lot of fun, not only at comics in general. As you can see, sort of, they make fun of Spider-Man and the first X-Force, who sort of blame them for usurping the name. But this comic also mocks our culture's insistence on caring so much about fame. And that's really the point of this book as a whole, that fame is not always what people believe it to be and not always worth what they think it is. If there were to be a moral to this book, that would most certainly be it. And that's really the cautionary tale that Peter Milligan paints with these celebrities who give their life and limb and sanity to entertain the masses for a chance at normalcy as mutants, and a chance at fame and fortune. And if you're a big fan of the superhero fight thing that sort of happens in every comic book, well, X-Statix manages to poke fun at that too, with Dead Girl fighting Scarlet Witch, Venus de Milo, who replaces one of the many, many dead characters, fighting Ant-Man. We get the Anarchist fighting Captain America, Thor fighting Dupe, the Orphan fighting Iron Man, and what is one of the funniest issues ever, and honestly the funniest fight in comics, period. Let me show you just so that you can appreciate how comedic this is, and Michael Allred's art really sells it. We have a suit of armorless Tony Stark fighting, slowly dying, and he is fighting a suitless Mr. Sensitive, who just, the wind around him is daggers in his skin. So, moments like this are honestly not very rare in this book. This is a book that will never take itself seriously throughout its entire run, but it does manage to still be poignant with some of the things that they're trying to show you at the same time. They have this magical way of getting you to care about a team that you know from day one is going to die. There's no mistake about that in all of X-Statix, and that really shows great writing on Peter Milligan's part, and a really phenomenal job on art getting you to empathize with these characters' emotions from Michael and Laura Allred. Honestly, I could go on and on about the positives of this book. There's just no end to it. And what's really nice is that with a trade this size, Marvel made sure to sort of space the pages out in a way that the gutter loss won't be unbearable. Gutter loss like this is pretty common. We have, as you can see, some of the words really just bleeding into the gutter like that. But, again, this is a trade that's clocking in at about 1,200 pages. That's a phenomenal amount of pages to fit in one binding. And they do it really well with this sort of, I guess, clothy binding that every good book should have. And every omnibus should have something like that as well. But it really makes it so where there's not a lot of gutter loss with this. That being said, I do think that this book can be a little unwieldy sometimes. It's honestly a lot of book to handle, not something that you can just sort of pick up and read casually. This is for someone who wants to have a nice sit-down session with a coffee table-sized book. And luckily, once you start to read X-Statix, you won't want to put it down. So that's honestly a benefit for this book. It sort of plays into the idea that, hey, you're going to be reading this for a long time and you're not going to want to put it down. Also, cover gallery at the back. That's always super nice. I think more trades need to do that. I said that with the Steven Universe trade, and especially with an omnibus. I mean, if you're shelling out $125 for this new or $80 for it used, you want a little something that isn't just the comic book, and this makes sure to deliver on that front. You also have interviews with Michael Allred and Peter Milligan at the front and the back, really going in depth about what this book meant to them and what they wanted this book to mean to us. There are, of course, also some issues drawn not by Michael Allred. There's one drawn by Darwin Cook, who is an amazing artist, and then one by Dragotta, who is skilled, but I wouldn't take him over Darwin Cook or Michael Allred any day of the week. I can't really go too far into the plot of X-Statix and X-Force because there's just so much of it. I mean, we go through them getting a new team, a new leader, saving a single child, becoming pariahs for saving that child, going to space, death, getting more new members, just general fame monster taking over their life. And honestly, that's not even scratching the surface of what X-Statix is. It's a lot of book. It's a lot of amazing book, though. There's not a single point that I would consider the lowest point in the X-Statix journey. This is a book that's solid from start to finish, and it's why I consider this to be Marvel's best book ever, the best superhero team book ever, and to be perfectly frank, the best superhero book ever. This is, and certainly the best book that ever has an X at the front of it. There's been a lot of X-Men books or mutant books in general that can be very disappointing to people, but X-Statix is never on that list. So there you really have it, true believers. I hope that you enjoyed this trade talk. Again, unfortunately, there's not going to be any regular Dan Dashley discusses for probably a week, maybe 2 weeks. I got a computer in the shop. What can I say? Until then, I'm really limited in what I can do. And as I'm sure you can tell by this Periscope, me just fresh and raw isn't anywhere near as tasty as what you can find on my YouTube channel, which is, of course, Nerdcore Nook. Search for Dan Dashley Discusses. You'll find the most popular comic book review show in this one specific city in Nebraska, which, you know, that's a pretty big deal, if I do say so myself. Remember to follow me on Twitter. That's at Dan_Dashley. Or I guess heart and follow on Periscope. I guess that's what people ask people to do on Periscope. I don't know. Periscope is weird. I don't know why they do the hearts and whatnot, but that's what I think you do for Periscope. Whatever the thing is to do for Periscope that helps me do that thing, and tell other people to do that thing. Since I have my regular show canceled, I'm going to probably be trying to do a lot more of these Periscope reviews, probably getting a tripod for this phone, because this looks like shit. And you guys can give me crap for that in the comments for this chat at any point, and I will acknowledge that you are 110% right, and then do nothing to fix it. So yeah, follow me on Twitter, follow me on Periscope, follow me on everything. Look me up on YouTube. Plugs, all the plugs for all of my various social crap. You know how this generation works. You gotta follow me on everything, or else it's useless to me. Oh, Wolverine shows up. If you're one of those people, Wolverine shows up and then he makes fun of how he's showing up just to boost sales. It's honestly a pretty funny joke at the time. This is really at the height of Wolverine is in everything. So it was nice to see them poking fun at Wolverine. So there you have it, true believers. That is the X-Statix Omnibus. Remember to check it out. Again, third-party sellers on Amazon are going to give this to you rather cheap. Marvel is, of course, Marvel, so they're going to ask for $125, $150 for it. You can get it for a lot less than that. If you're looking for a big book to blow a fair amount of money on and just enjoy it from cover to cover, I can think of no better book than the X-Statix Omnibus. Milligan and Allred are two giants in the industry. Milligan is honestly one of the best writers when it comes to writing sort of existential plots and making you really think about comics as a medium, and Allred has such mastery of his craft, of his sort of 60s, 70s pop art style, especially when combined with his wife Laura, that you're not going to get any artist and writer combo better than what you have right here. It doesn't get much better. I know I'm singing this book's praises, and to be frank, I don't think that it has many negatives to talk about. Sure, you could argue that knowing that the characters are going to die keeps you from being too invested in them, but I think Milligan manages to find a way. And you could complain about the fact that there is no really overall affecting plot for a good chunk of this book, but I don't think that that's a big detriment to the book either. This is a story about these characters, not, these characters fighting some huge villain. This isn't your typical superhero book. This is a superhero book about the superheroes as people. And I know a lot of other comics and superhero books do that, but I think this is really the golden standard for what it should be in terms of getting to know these characters and getting to care about them outside of their superhero world. So there you have it, true believers. Pick up the X-Statix Omnibus. Let's see if I can go off on another rant before we end this video, because I think I've tried to end this video about 9 or 10 times, and I just haven't done it. I like talking to you guys way too much. All right, you guys, wow, I was literally about to do it again. All right, so this officially video over, you guys, and I hope you enjoyed this. Remember to do all the things for Periscope. All right, we will see you next time, true believers.